Hey man, I was just about to build my Spom, so I was going to make a quick video here to show you how to build a pretty efficient Spom so that they're really small, super efficient. So it'll show you how to make small ones. Um, it'll produce about enough oxygen to run 8 dupes. So each 8 dupes you get, you're going to need one Spom. You also need a second one if you're going to run 8 dupes worth of suits. So here's a quick way to make it. You're going to build a cross. You want the top to be 3 tiles large or 3 tiles tall. You want the bottom to be, so it's sort of an upside down cross, really. Um, and then you're going to enclose that like so. And we'll build them some ladders to get over here so that they can build it. We're going to put a airlock there. And here's what we want. We want to put our electrolyzer on the right, or you can put it on the left if you want to, and put the door over there if you need to build it on the other side. Doesn't really matter the arrangement. And then we're going to put 2 gas pumps, one on top, one on the bottom. And then we're going to delete the right piece of the cross. We're going to put airflow tiles on that side. And then we're going to cancel the second side of the cross. And we're going to put tiles on that side. And then we're going to cancel this piece of the ladder right there. And the reason is because that's where our automation goes. So we need them to be able to build the automation there. Now, once we've got our box set up and everything is located where we need it, we need to run power. So we're going to run a power cord to all of these pieces. And then we're going to run it straight up because that's where we're going to put our generation. So we're going to put our generator there and a smart battery. And then we're going to run our power right into both of those. And I like to come down here and power the door just in case I need them to get in and out of there to grab something. Now that we've got the power generation set up, we're going to run our ventilation system. Our top ventilator is going to run our hydrogen to our generator. And the bottom one is going to run our oxygen out of the system. And you can take that pipe anywhere you need to take it, your base to your suit supply, wherever you need oxygen. And then once they get all that built, I'll cut back in and show you how to finish the system. All right, so we've got everything in our box built now. And one thing I should have told you from the get-go that I kind of forgot about, when you build your gas pumps and your electrolyzer for this, you want to use gold amalgam. And the reason is eventually everything inside of this is going to heat up to about 130 degrees. And that will break most standard metals. So if you build it out of copper or aluminum or iron, it will break. So you need to build it out of gold amalgam. So both your gas pumps and your electrolyzer need to be gold amalgam when you put them in there. Otherwise, eventually inside of this is going to heat up to about 130 and they will break. Also, you want to make your insulated tiles out of igneous rock because same problem. Eventually, this is going to heat up a lot on the inside and it's going to heat everything around it to about 130 degrees. So you want to make sure this is all igneous rock so your heat stays on the inside. It's still going to come through your door, but that's way easier to manage than if it's coming out of this entire box. But now that we've got all of that built, we're going to set up our automation. And the thing you want is 2 Atmos sensors. You want one just above your top gas pump, and you want one just to the right of your bottom gas pump. And we're going to wire those into our gas pumps, just like that. I'll go ahead and let them finish building that. All right, now they've finished building everything inside of our box. So the first thing I want to do is make sure we sweep all of our box out, because if we don't, you can't get back in here to get this stuff out of here once you shut the spot, or once you turn this box on. You can get the stuff out of the bottom, but eventually we're gonna have to close this off. So you won't be able to get anything out of here. So make sure that you sweep everything out of there before you turn this box on, if possible. And I'll cut back in once they've swept all of that stuff out of there. All right, so now they've cleared our box out and we have a completely clean box. So what we have to do now is we have to cut off the top of the box from the bottom of the box so that this gas pump is only taking in hydrogen and this gas pump is only taking in the oxygen that's coming out of our electrolyzer. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to turn this ladder into standard tiles. And I start at the top, because if you just do this, they'll build the bottom tile and then they won't be able to access the top tiles anymore. So you literally have to build these one at a time. So we'll wait for them to come in here and build that top tile. And then we'll just put in the next tiles one at a time all the way down until they've got them completely built. Oops, well, we forgot one thing. We have to put in our piping from our water supply. So essentially, you're just going to pipe water from wherever your water supply is into your electrolyzer here. All right, so now we have our water supply installed. It's going to be coming in here to our electrolyzer. We have our electricity installed, and it's going to run all of this machinery. Incidentally, this electrolyzer produces enough electricity to run one more 240 watt piece of equipment. Now, typically, the very first electrolyzer I build, I also run the wire from that electrolyzer to the water pump that will be supplying that electrolyzer. In this case, I've got that water pump over here in my water supply, which is why I also build these next to my water supply. So I don't have to run wires really far. So I will run this electrical system into this water pump over here. Now I'm going to delete all of this because I was just using it to filter some water earlier. So I'm going to delete all of this as I run that wiring over here. All right, so now, as you can see, we've got our wiring run to our water pump. It runs to all of our machinery and our generator. We have our water pipe running from our pump up into our electrolyzer. And then we have our gas pipes running exactly where we need them. One out the bottom to take oxygen, one up to the top to take our hydrogen up to our generator. Now, in order for me to turn this on, I'm going to have to run some piping so that I can actually turn it on. Otherwise, it won't turn on properly. So I'm going to go ahead and run some piping down into my base. All right, so now as you can see, we have our piping running up to our hydrogen generator, and we have piping running down into our base, which is where we're going to put our first batch of oxygen here. So now we can turn the system on, and this is what I wanted you to see because it takes a little bit of finagling to get this to work right off the bat. You kind of have to mess with these sensors a little bit in order to get them to work the first time, but once they're fixed, you never have to work with the system again. So first thing we do is we have to prime the system. So in order to turn it on, we have to stick a generator somewhere that they can run on. And we have to run some wiring into the system to fill the battery. All right, so now we've built our manual generator here, and we're going to prime this system. So we're going to have a little loop run up here and run on our generator. And let's get this system up and running. All right, so as our system starts going, You'll notice the first thing that's going to happen is our hydrogen generator is going to start breaking because the initial thing we're going to pump in there is oxygen and not hydrogen. It's going to have to build up a little bit. So for right now, we're going to disable the auto repair on it unless it gets so broken it needs to be repaired. So now our electrolyzer is running. It's going to slowly fill this side of our room with hydrogen. And this sensor here, you may have to run it down to 300 grams per second. You're going to have it set for above 300, and you're going to have this one set for above 300. Now, once we get our hydrogen completely filling this side of our box, we're going to reset this to above 600. But for right now, we want hydrogen to build up in the top. All right, now that hydrogen's built up in the top, we should be able to turn this on. I'm just going to switch it to below for a second so that it sucks everything out of there. So now this side is fully hydrogen now. So we're going to reset this to above 600 grams. And from now on, this will build up with enough hydrogen that when this turns on, it can't suck enough of the hydrogen down in order for the oxygen to go over this tile setting here. So from here on, this will run infinitely for as much oxygen as you need. And this pump up here will only turn on when there's enough hydrogen for it to pump out. So you see it turned on there. It's going to pump out a little bit of hydrogen. It's going to fill up our battery. So now we can completely deconstruct this because we have no use for it anymore. We don't want dupes running on it. We'll just go ahead and get rid of all these wires. So as you can see, our battery is filling all the way back up to full off of just the hydrogen we're pulling out of here. And it will slowly drain and then completely refill just with the hydrogen it's pulling out of the system. So this is a 100% self-sustaining system, even though it's running this liquid pump over here as well. So it produces enough electricity to run itself, plus one more 240 watt piece of equipment, which means when you build your second one, which usually I build a second one to power my suits, I will run another machine off of it as well, but you can only run a 240 watt machine. It won't produce enough power to run a bigger machine than that. And you can also usually run one door on it as well. So if you don't run a door, you could probably run a slightly larger machine off of it if you wanted to. So that is how you set up a compact, completely self-sustaining Spom. Hope that helped.